Alright, so I checked out the movie Flight Risk. A U.S. Marshal boarders a small plane to transfer a government witness to New York. As they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions start to rise as not everyone on the flight is who they appear to be. Alright, this film is basically what it says. However, the way it reads like that makes it seem like the whole thing builds suspense throughout. You know exactly what's going on within the first 10 minutes. It gets leaked, and then it's about the tension that arises while there are three people on a flight. One is a witness, one is a marshal, and one of them is well, basically a serial killer who's there to take out the witness and the marshal. The trailer for this movie kind of sells it. I guess I would say more of an action film, but no, this is more of a very compact film, and that's normally what you get at the beginning of the year. The whole thing primarily takes, well, I guess there's three shootings. There is the cabin where the witness is caught. There is the rest of the film that's in the plane, and then there is the landing. There is just those three locations, and that is it. All the tension kind of builds up on a plane. And if you've seen films like Buried or Locke, you kind of realize where the tension is. The tension isn't really in the situation that they're in. It's in the stress of everything going on top of it. It turns out like there is a leak in the U.S. Marshal's office, so they have to track that down. Are they gonna land safely? Will the witness survive? They have to contain the serial killer that's been flying them to the location who's put a hit, who's accepted the hit on them. It's got all this extra stuff, and it's really about the dynamic of all of them together. You have Mark Wahlberg, basically the psychopath, the serial killer. And honestly, I gotta say, I enjoyed him playing that role. The film apparently is a funny film because this is like the most people that have been in the theater since I've been going every single week this year. This is the most people that have been in the theater, like 20 something. That's saying a lot because normally it's just me in the theater. I get a private showing for myself. But yeah, there were like 20 people there, and I could tell that it was entertaining because everyone there was laughing. Sure, there were some chuckles because you have I don't know his name, but he's always playing like the weak character, unless it's Predators, where he played the psychopathic serial killer, the surgeon. Yeah, but it's just like he's being funny because he's just talking out of stress. And I gotta say, I did find that entertaining because you have the guy who can't shut up when he's stressed. Then you have who's the witness, of course. Of course, you have the person that you need to talk, completely talking nonstop because he's stressed. Then you have the tough woman who's just trying to do her job as best she can, following the rules to the book. And you find out why, because she failed in the past. Then you just have the crazy serial killer. I will say there are three things about this movie I did not enjoy. And I'm pretty sure most people will say the same thing. Mark Wahlberg's hairline is aggravating because he does scenes where he's looking tough and angry and his forehead all wrinkles, but his hairline is it just my eyes, instead of drawing to his eyes and the way he was looking, it was drawn to his hairline, and I'm like, I could tell why they were doing that, but at the same time, why? That didn't add anything to the story except to add a comedic beat when his hat fell off for the witness. When he grabbed the hat, he saw there was a toupee in it. It was just for laughs. That annoying hairline was there just to get a laugh out of the audience, and I did not like that. The second part that I didn't like is it feels a little too long, like there's a bit too much, because I understand they're flying from wherever they are in Alaska to get to Anchorage to board a big plane in order to get to Seattle, then get from Seattle to New York. I think that's what they're doing. But yeah, that's what they're doing. They're doing the hopscotch, and it feels like too much time is taken. It's like they want the film to be exactly the length of time that it takes to get from wherever they were to Anchorage. But there are a lot of weird, which leads into the next issue. There are a lot of weird edits that bothered me. There's one comedic scene where the marshal and the psychopathic pilot are talking to each other with their headsets, and you have the witness in the background not able to communicate with them, literally doing hand gestures. The very next shot, they have the camera in front, and he's in the background, his hands crossed, and it's just like, you can't go from this to this in the blink of an eye. It was very disruptive for me, but I guess most people didn't see that. Like, there are a lot of shots. Like, they're dragging a body through the plane. They're dragging a body through the plane. You can guess which body's being dragged. But in that scene, they literally show the same shot twice. They pick up the body and start dragging it, only for the next edit to show them pick up the body from a different angle and start dragging it. And I'm like, this is editing 101. I mean, I understand they're trying to make a short film. I guess they're trying to make more, compact film. They're trying to make everything all in one space. They're trying to lengthen the time as well, which is just like, no, if this film was an hour and even, because I think it's like 90 minutes. If this film was like an hour and 20 minutes, I think it would be more enjoyable for me because the editing would be a lot more precise. It wouldn't drag its feet at certain scenes. Love coffee. But in the end, this thing is primarily about the dialogue, because you have the U.S. Marshal who doesn't know how to fly a plane, has the pilot handcuffed in the back, being forced to pilot the plane, and she's talking to basically a flirt on the other end. And it was comedic, because as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, I'm gonna like this guy, aren't I? Because he was just a flirt. He knew there was a serious situation going on, and he was just a flirt. Like, there are all these side characters that aren't even shown on screen, or when they are, it's at the very end. But you grow to like them just because of the dialogue. The Marshal's boss, you like her, but you feel fishy about what she does. You learn a lot about each character, which says a lot about this film that doesn't show a lot of them. And I gotta say, I like that. I respect that. If it wasn't for the editing that kind of threw me off, or Mark Wahlberg's hairline, or the fact that it was much longer than it had to be because the editors didn't edit completely, or maybe they just got bored of seeing the same scene over and over and over and over and over again, that they were like, you know what, let's just do whatever, let's punish everyone else. Because if you're an editor, you're stuck and everything takes place in that plane. It's all gonna look the same eventually. But I gotta say, I actually had fun with this film. That's the word I'd say. I'd had fun. There were laughs because that character, I like seeing him in films. Like when I saw him in, what is it? You see him in Ocean's 11. He was from that 70s show, and he's like the only sane character that came out of that show. Yeah, so if you know who I'm talking about. But it's like, every time you see him, I always know I'm gonna get a laugh because he normally plays like the mouthy character. I have no clue who the U.S. Marshal is. Never seen her in anything before. Maybe I have, and I just didn't register it. Mark Wahlberg, I like him as an actor. I mean, he knows what he does. Because at the very beginning when he's introduced, he's doing this fake accent, and it just sounded cheesy and corny, and it's just like, you could tell it's fake. But it makes sense, because in the next 5 to 10 minutes, everyone finds out he's not who he seems. But I had fun with it because I didn't go in thinking it was going to be an action movie. I went in realizing, okay, it's flight risk. The whole thing takes place on a plane, and there's only 3 people on that plane. What can you do with that? Well, it's all about character development. I went in knowing it was all going to be about character. I was worried that they were going to try to throw in action scene after action scene after action scene after action scene, and then I would have just hated it because it's just like, you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, which technically they do right now. In this film they are, but it's just dialogue. In dialogue, you can build characters that way. When it's just action, you can't build characters. And I gotta say, I prefer building character over a mindless action scene. So I preferred this film just because I had a few laughs, or a few chuckles. The audience had a ton of laughs. They laughed hard. I could say, because the guy would say one thing, and then everyone would start laughing, and I'd be like, huh. That's my response. I don't know comedy that well, but that was my response. But I gotta say, for a very, contained film, I liked it. Thank y'all for watching. Talk to you next time. Doodles.